All right, today we're going to tackle a huge question facing Tesla, and we're going to do it by looking back at one of the biggest blunders in tech history. We're about to see how a choice Tesla is facing right now looks almost exactly like a decision that cost IBM its dominance. Let's dive in. It really all boils down to this one simple question. For years, we've all thought of Tesla as a car company. But what if that's like saying Amazon is just a bookstore? The answer to this could be the difference between Tesla becoming one of the most valuable companies in history or just a shadow of what it could have been. So to really get a handle on where Tesla's headed, we actually have to hit the rewind button. We need to look at a tech titan that had the future right there in its grasp and just let it slip through its fingers. And this isn't some dusty old history lesson, you guys. This is basically a playbook or maybe a warning for Tesla's future.
Okay, so let's set the stage here. Picture it. It's the late 1990s. IBM, Big Blue. They are the kings, the undisputed titans of computing. They build the giant, powerful mainframes and servers that pretty much run the entire world. They're a behemoth. But under the surface, a revolution was brewing that was about to turn their entire world upside down.
And what's really key to understand here is just how fast everything was moving. In 1999, Salesforce pops up, and they start selling software as a subscription online. No more disks, no installs. This was a wild idea back then. While this is happening, IBM is just doubling down on what they know, selling big, expensive pieces of hardware. Then boom, 2006, Amazon launches AWS. They start selling computing power like it's a utility. You just rent what you need by the hour. And IBM? They don't make a serious move until 2013. We're talking a full 7 years late to a party that was literally redesigning their own industry.
So what was at the heart of all this? It was a clash of two totally different ways of doing business. See, IBM had perfected the art of selling a product. You build a big server, you sell it, and you get this huge one-time payment. Ka-ching. The as-a-service model, a totally different game. It's all about that sweet recurring revenue, those monthly subscriptions that just keep coming in. It creates this ongoing relationship. You're not just selling a thing, you're selling an outcome.
So why didn't the giant just pivot? Well, it really came down to a kind of internal paralysis. IBM was absolutely terrified that if they offered cloud services, it would gut their super profitable hardware business. I mean, why would anyone buy $1 million server if they could just rent the space? The whole company, I'm talking sales commissions, quarterly goals, everything, was geared towards selling boxes, not renting services. It got so bad they had two different cloud projects fighting each other inside the company. So it wasn't that they didn't see it coming. The company was just too stuck in its old ways to do anything about it.
And the price tag for that hesitation? Well, this number really says it all. $28 billion. That's how much their revenue dropped in just 6 years during the 2010s. That right there is the cost of missing a massive shift in the market.
Okay, so while IBM was fumbling, other companies were absolutely soaring. And they did it by embracing the exact model that IBM was so afraid of. Their stories show the incredible upside of making that bold pivot.
Let's start with Amazon. They had this gigantic internal IT setup for their website, right? And most of the time, a lot of it was just sitting there, not being used. So they had this light bulb moment. What if we just rented out that spare capacity to other people? That little idea became Amazon Web Services, AWS. And today, AWS is a cash printing machine. It literally makes up the majority of Amazon's entire operating profit. It's just insane.
All right, then you've got Microsoft, a giant that honestly was starting to look a little bit like IBM, kind of stuck selling software in a box. But under their CEO Satya Nadella, they went all in, all in on a cloud-first strategy. Office wasn't a box anymore, it was a subscription. They built Azure into this massive AWS competitor, and the result, a complete reinvention. They blew past a $3 trillion valuation. It was proof that a big old company can change its stripes, if it really wants to.
And maybe the most courageous move of all, that came from Adobe. In 2013, they did something crazy. They just stopped selling their famous software like Photoshop in boxes. Done. Finished. From then on, it was subscription only, and people were not happy. There was backlash, revenue took a hit, but Adobe didn't blink. And the payoff? Oh man, their revenue shot up from around $4 billion to over $15 billion in a decade. It just goes to show you, sometimes you have to take that short-term pain for that incredible long-term gain.
This quote just nails it perfectly. It says that IBM's failure wasn't about not having smart engineers. It was about organizational inertia.
The company's own success basically built a cage around it, and it couldn't get out to chase the future.
And that right there brings us all the way back to Tesla. Because right now, the company is standing at the exact same kind of fork in the road that IBM faced all those years ago. The tech is different, sure, but the big strategic choice? It's almost identical.
And the parallel here is so clear it's almost spooky. Think about it. IBM's hardware, their mainframes and servers. Tesla's hardware, their cars and batteries. The huge service opportunity IBM missed, cloud computing. And the massive service opportunity staring Tesla right in the face, transportation as a service. So what in the world is transportation as a service, or TaaS, anyway? Well, simply put, it's a future where a company like Tesla stops focusing so much on selling you a car and starts selling you mobility. It's a huge shift, right? Moving away from wanting to own a car to just wanting to access one on demand. Imagine a fleet of self-driving Teslas you just summon with your phone, like an Uber, and pay by the mile. That's the same exact shift from product to service.
And look, Tesla is already well on its way down this road. They've already got step one locked down, the cars and the self-driving AI development. They've even piloted a driverless taxi service in Austin. But it's the next steps that are the make-or-break ones, shifting the whole company's focus from counting how many cars they sell to counting how many miles people are transported. That's where they can capture that predictable, recurring revenue from a brand new, massive market.
And why does this pivot matter so much? Why is it such a big deal? Because the prize is just mind-boggling. Analysts think the global robotaxi market could be worth, wait for it, $10 trillion. Annually? That's not just a new market for Tesla. That's a market that makes the entire existing car industry look small.
And if you want a visual of just how massive this transformation could be, check this out. This analysis from ARK Invest is pretty wild. They're projecting that by 2029, a successful robotaxi service could account for 90%, 90, of Tesla's entire value. The part of the business that actually sells cars, it would just become this small 10% slice of the pie. Its main job would just be to feed cars into this gigantic, super high-margin service business.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. The clock is ticking, loudly. You've got competitors like Google's Waymo who are already out there, reportedly doing hundreds of thousands of driverless rides every single week. If Tesla waits too long, another company could swoop in and become the AWS of transportation. And the biggest danger of all? Falling into the exact same trap that caught IBM. Being so scared of hurting your own car sales that you let someone else come in and disrupt the whole industry for you.
So this really all boils down to one last lesson from history. Tesla is at a crossroads. There are two paths forward, and we've seen exactly where each of those paths leads, one to massive success and the other to spectacular failure.
And if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Having the best tech, the coolest cars, the smartest AI is not enough. It's just not. IBM had incredible technology. What they were missing was the business model innovation to actually capitalize on it in the new world. The real winners, the ones who build empires, are the ones who master both.
And so that leaves us with the billion or maybe trillion-dollar question. Will Tesla learn from IBM's trillion-dollar mistake? Will they make that courageous leap and become the Amazon of transportation? Or will they get stuck, cling to the old way of doing things, and risk becoming the IBM of the auto world, a powerful innovator that got left behind by the very revolution it helped create? Well, the choice is theirs to make.